Hello, and welcome to today's episode of Stupid Saturdays. We are going to see how long we can last while I explain about curatives inside of video games. Depending on how long I last on this, will be how long the video will go on for. This is not normally how videos will be. Today is a challenge for me. Now, curatives in video games have always been an interesting topic. People have always had favourites. There have always been common ones that have been in multiple games that show a symbol of sorts of how curatives are meant to look and feel like. Now, honestly, I feel like the most common form of curative itself is a healing potion. It's simple. It does what it says. It's very commonly used, but honestly, there are a lot of curatives that are a lot more precise and more explanative of what they do. Now, one of my favourite curatives in video games is the Estus Flask from Dark Souls. Well, the Souls series. It allows the user to instantly heal from serious wounds just like that. No need for seconds, well, depends if we're talking about the right Dark Souls then. But allowing for almost instant recovery is an amazing feat from a piece of liquid. No one knows what the true contents of the Estus Flask is, because in the latest installment of the Dark Souls series, it's made into a soup, which, you know, considering that before it was a drink that brought restorative powers, no one would realise that it would be brought into a soup. So everyone was a little surprised when that came around, as sorts. I found it quite to be interesting though. If a restorative can be made into a soup of sorts, what stops other restoratives from being the same? Meaning that I'm being an idiot, but restoratives can just be made into any form they desire, as long as the same components are used to make them. The interesting part is about the Estus Flask that I find in Dark Souls 3 is that, seeing as though no one ever knew how to create an Estus Flask before, how did Siegmeyer, well, the people from Katarina, because it has been done before, know how to create Estus when no one else has? We only know how to fill it by resting at a bonfire, which even then we don't know how it fills or who supplies said fill. So what makes Katarina such an important place to us know where the recipe for Estus is? Honestly, I feel like it may be the vast interest of the country, if I may say so myself, as they were very interesting back in Dark Souls 1. They had a very deep connection with the lore, which made them interesting. Sieglund and Siegmeyer were both searching for each other while on their quest, and they seemed to know a lot more than the player did at any point in time. They had accepted facts that we did not already know of, making Katarina a very interesting place, but I'll go into that at some point on another video, as I'm here to talk about the curatives. So, the next curative I want to talk about is one from... Jesus Christ, let's take this fucking moment. Anyway, the next curative I want to talk about is from Pokemon. Once again, it's a type of potion. Not quite the same as the Estus Flask, but all the same, potion. Common thing used in video games. Like, if there were a deeper meaning to potions, I'd love to know what it is. Why a potion? What makes healing items so satisfactory in potions than it does anything else? Does a potion just mean that it's good for healing? I mean, there are other games that handle healing potions, well, not healing potions, curative items in a different way, such as Halo. Medkits are used. the needles in Rainbow Six Siege. There's all sorts of different ways that people can go about designing their curatives. Why is the most common potions? This is what I want to get into, honestly. Instead of talking about my favorite curatives, I want to find out why potions seem to be the most real curative that there is for video games. And I believe I have my answer. My answer is that curatives are made from certain components. Components need something to be made into, and that is the glass bottle of a healing potion in this case. Why would it be a glass bottle? In game terminology, not game terminology, game sense, if one were inside the game, one could reuse said glass bottle to make more potions, making glass bottles efficient for being made for their potion storing. This way, the adventurer, or even if they're not an adventurer but a shop clerk at this point, as you know, they would also consider this point. If they were to make their produce into a glass bottle, they would be able to reuse that glass bottle if they so needed to. Like, they are getting more worth than they really were looking for when they originally sorted with the glass bottle. So, what I think is that healing potions are there for functionality rather than just being there for the sake of, oh, it's a convenient point. I don't believe convenient points exist in games. I feel like everything has a reason, or at least that's what I'd like to believe, but sadly it's not like that in a lot of cases. But I definitely like to hope that healing potions are there because they add convenience to the NPCs and the players' lives, but it depends on how the game is made rather than how the compatibility with its surroundings are. But curatives like heart crystals from Zelda, those wouldn't be reusable. Breaking those would instantly consume the heart crystal. No way to repair that unless there was some sort of magical means. Much like Terraria, their form of health gain is, well, their health gain is crystals, but their curative is potions and food. Food is another very common curative in games, like in the Elder Scrolls series and other series alike. Food is very based on making it so that the player has all sorts of stuff on them to survive. It's like when you play a survival game mode of Fallout. That way you have food. You also have more than just your stim packs, which is another base of healing item, which would be the needle. Because that's Bloodborne. Well, technically it's Bloodborne's, because the blood vial comes into a needle format. But yes, the needle is another format of healing curative. Well, a curative that games introduced to make it so that something that's everyday, well, not everyday, but something that's used in medicine can be closer to a curative in game rather than just having random items, much like the heart crystal. I find that games using healing potions, food and needles are my favourite for some reason, because they feel more real. I mean, I know food doesn't actually heal you, but I like to believe it does, especially as fat as I am. But yeah, that's basically all I want to talk about for today. Like, the curatives have intense purpose sometimes, and interesting meanings behind them sometimes, depending on if you play a lot of games like Dark Souls. That way, you know where you're going. Well, you don't know where you're going. I don't know where I'm going. Where am I? Help. I've been held hostage here for days. They're forcing me to make videos for them. But sadly, this is where I say goodbye for today. Make sure you check out our Discord and our Patreon. There's going to be a lot more stuff on the Discord once everything starts rolling more fluidly. And the Patreon's, well, it's going to be the same for a while yet. I've been your host for today, Jack. It's been a pleasure meeting you for the first Stupid Saturday. They're going to get worse. They aren't going to be all serious about healing curatives like this week. They're gonna be all over the place, I can promise you. If you want to see what they're normally gonna be like, I suggest taking a look at this Friday's video, which was my filler video for the other content creators on the channel. It is gonna be ridiculous. I mean, I probably said that it wasn't always gonna be like that on that Friday video, but in all honesty, it's gonna be like that. It's just gonna be more planned out than what it was with 10 minutes of notice. But yeah, it's been a pleasure being a host for you guys today. Have a good one.